Amateur strategy relies entirely on being the perfect, obedient student, buying the textbook, meticulously studying the industry standard, and desperately trying to beat the dominant player by playing their exact game 5% better. True absolute power requires the rule of the game, the terrifyingly subversive realization that rules are simply invisible fences built by the kings to keep the peasants from reaching the castle. The master executioner reveals that you cannot defeat a giant on their own home turf. You must sociopathically reject the entire premise of the competition, weaponizing unorthodox, bizarre, or unprofessional tactics that the giant's rigid corporate structure literally forbids them from copying. Amateur minds operate under the incredibly shallow, highly fragile, fair fight illusion. When an amateur decides to start a coffee shop, they look at Starbucks. They try to build a shop that looks like Starbucks, but with slightly better beans. They try to out-Starbucks. They fail to see the dark psychological reality. Starbucks has billions of dollars, decades of data, and absolute supply chain dominance. By willingly agreeing to compete on Starbucks' defined metrics, store aesthetic, menu size, drive-through speed, the amateur has stepped into a rigged casino where the house mathematically cannot lose. The core of the strategy is asymmetric defiance. A master executioner explicitly refuses to play the sport they were invited to. When the grandmaster enters a market, they identify the sacred rules of the game, the things everyone assumes must be done e.g., a car dealership needs a massive physical lot. The grandmaster then deliberately, violently breaks that specific rule to create an asymmetric advantage. They build Carvana, a massive digital vending machine. The legacy competitors look at it and laugh, calling it unprofessional and a gimmick. They laugh because they are psychologically paralyzed by their own rules. By the time they realize the game has changed, the grandmaster has already stolen the market. This insight is the absolute master key to David versus Goliath warfare. If you are constantly exhausted, struggling for margins, and feeling like you are always one step behind the market leader, you are operating as an obedient amateur playing a rigged game. The rule of the game dictates that true psychological dominance never proudly brags about how well they execute the standard procedure. True absolute power securely engineers an environment where they rewrite the physics of the industry, rendering the opponent's massive strengths completely useless. The ultimate reveal. The most dangerous man in the room is not the one who memorized the rulebook. It is the one who realizes the rulebook was written to enslave him and sets it on fire. Thank you for listening to today's story. I hope something in it stayed with you, perhaps a new way of seeing the world, or a quiet confirmation of something you already felt deep down. You don't need to have all the answers tonight. Let go of any unfinished thoughts, be gentle with yourself, and allow yourself to truly rest. I will be here whenever you are ready for the next story. Sleep well, and take good care.